So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. What's up, brokers, team leaders, office managers, and rainmakers of teams? I got a question for you today. What are the two most frustrating things about running a real estate team? The two things that cause you more headaches than anything else. Think about it. The brokers I've talked to have all given me the same answer: recruiting and retention. If you're in the same boat, if nothing you've tried seems to work, I've got some good news. Your problem finding, recruiting, and retaining high-quality agents are about to be over. I'm launching my new Retoot course, a course that provides an in-depth, first-ever look at the recruiting and retention secrets of the industry's top recruiters. To kick off Retoot's launch, I'm offering the course along with two other high-value items at a super low price to podcast listeners. Since I'm throwing in two free items with my Retoot Secrets course, I'm going to simply call it my 1-2-3 discount package. Okay, so let me talk to you about the 1-2-3 discount package. In addition to Retoot, you're going to get a subscription for each of your teammates or anybody in your office to my Big Profit weekly jackpot emails, which are basically agents from around the world giving advice on how to increase your profit on a daily basis in this business. If your agents put these effective, easy to implement tips to use, their sales and most importantly, their profits will improve. Plus, I'll provide you with a year's worth of monthly sales meetings, content to have at your sales meeting, so you don't have to struggle figuring out what to say to your agents or your team. I'm calling it my Lunch and Learn sales training series. That's an entire year's worth of sales meetings that you won't have to plan and that your agents are guaranteed to get massive value from. So to recap, purchasing the 1-2-3 discount package gets you 1, my brand new Retoot course; 2, my Big Profit Agents weekly jackpot emails for everybody in your office; and 3, a year's worth of Lunch and Learn training sessions. If you want this limited time package, act fast and go to hybendigital.com/123. Real easy, hybendigital.com/123. All right, Rockstar Nation, we got a great guest today. Never on the show, although his wife came on way back when, 500 some episodes ago, actually. But Mr. Chris Dufala, who runs the Lock and Key, I should say it's no longer the Lock and Key team. It is Lock and Key Real Estate, because he is recently out on his own as an independent brokerage, or a teamerage, as many people are calling it, that come on and have similar situations as Chris. And we're going to jump into some deep stuff. Number one, internet leads. Are they worth it? What he is doing about it that has drastically changed. And number two, quality over quantity, and where the profit margins are in teams in real estate today. So without further ado, let's jump on. Mr. Chris Dufala, welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Thanks for having me, Pat. Appreciate it.
Hey, buddy, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself so they get to know you better?
Sure. So I'm in Tarpon Springs, Florida, which is the sort of greater Tampa metro, if you will. My wife and I run our brokerage now, I suppose. That's going to take some getting used to saying. Married for 22 years and 3 boys. Keep us busy.
That's awesome. And how long you been in real estate?
I've only been in real estate full-time about 6 years. Before that, I was also an appraiser part-time helping her out with her appraisal firm.
And your wife's been in business how long?
As an agent for 8 years and as an appraiser for almost 20.
Okay. So she was in only a couple of years and she brought you in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so last 12 months, how many houses would you say you and her and your team sold?
So 150, our average price point here is about 200. We go in a shifting market. We tried to grab some market share. So we were going for units, not just volume. So we'll do about 30 million by the end of the year.
That's awesome. And what is your ECI, Chris, your ego commission income?
So we average about 2.5%. So that'll be about 750 this year.
So 750,000. What is your profit margin?
We're actually doing, that's one of the areas we excel. We're at about 31%.
Okay. So roughly, so 30% would be 250. So 31%. So you make about 260 on the team, right? Now, does that include do you and Nicole do deals yourself, or how's that work? Do you pay yourself salaries, or is the 260 all inclusive of your commission splits, your salaries, everything?
Yeah, we pay ourselves small salaries, and then so the 260 would include, a little bit of what we peel out too. But of course, like many business owners, we run a lot of stuff through the business. So there's stuff that comes out of the gross, car payments, insurance, stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's just say 260 plus benefits.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. So, all right, let's talk about this. Lots of stuff happening. Congratulations on your new company. So first of all, why did you decide to leave a, large brokerage and do a independent teamerage?
Yeah, we love the brokerage we were with. We would not be where we're at. So, without that sort of tutelage and the guidance, it just, we're looking at the sort of landscape, if you will, and we realized that we can be a little bit more nimble. We're not reliant on a brokerage at this point. So we didn't really fit in the box. We do some short-term rentals, as you probably know. We do, a little bit of property management. So we're not the typical agents that sort of fit in a broker's model. And plus, to be honest, with the landscape and the way things are going between cloud brokerages and everything else and Zillow, we felt like we could compete better if we were on our own long term.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about Zillow. Let's talk about leads. You've made a startling revelation recently about internet leads. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we did. So we sat down and sourced all of our business. I mean, we were very meticulous. It took a long time. We went through deal by deal over the last couple of years. And we suspected that our primary source of business was Sphere, past clients, things like that. And we were shocked when we found out that not only was that the lion's share of our business, about 30%, 29% to be exact, the Sphere and past clients. Investors were second. We also represent some small builders, which I highly recommend. That's for a different show probably, but that was the third source of business. And we got all the way down into the teens before we hit internet leads. So that was shocking because that was about 50% of our marketing budget.
Okay, so let me stop you there. So 50% of your marketing budget was going to internet leads, yet it was only 15% of your income, roughly, something like that.
Yeah, or even less. Yep.
Less than 15. Okay.
Yep. It was down way down the list on source of business.
Wow. And so what happened? Do you think it used to be more of an even share where you got more from it, and now the landscape has changed a little bit, or do you think it's always been like that and you just haven't noticed it?
I think it used to be a higher share and the cost per lead was less, right? So you used to be able to get a lot more bang for your buck in our experience. And especially when Zillow changed, and I know now they've changed back, but that ship sailed for us. But when they changed, our cost per lead went, skyrocketed to like over $1,000 per lead. And that just didn't make sense for us. So we pulled the plug on that.
And how do you like the new system with Zillow? I guess that's part of the reason you pulled the plug, right? Yeah,
they reached out to us. They were going with the concierge method, full time. Didn't really give us a choice. And of course, their stock price took a tumble because their agents were running for the hills, and we did too. And then they've come back, and it was an okay model. 5 years ago it was great. We were getting a lot more bang for our buck, and it's just been diluted and diluted and diluted. So we're done.
And you're like, you guys can't follow up as good as I can.
Yeah, I mean, certain agents on the team are better than others, but yes, generally speaking, we haven't incorporated an ISA yet. That might be something we'll look at, or one of these companies maybe down the road. But for right now, we feel like we could do a better job, or at least we don't like people telling us what to do. I guess that's another reason we started our own brokerage. But
yeah, and have control of your buyer's information.
Yeah, I'd rather drip on them and nurture them. If I'm paying for 20 leads, give me all 20. Don't give me 2.
So you cut them loose completely. Like, are you buying any leads at all now?
We're still doing a little bit with Realtor.com. We use Boomtown for our CRM, and we have a paid spend and a lender split with them. So, and there's a few agents on our team that really convert those at a high level. So we're going to keep those because the cost per lead is a lot less.
You're going to keep the Boomtown, and you're going to keep a little bit of Realtor, but other than that, you're done.
That's it. Yep. Yeah, and we'll probably cut Realtor altogether too, because they're turning out to be similar to Zillow in terms of performance.
Okay. So then it'll just kind of be back like in the old days where you're just paying money for search engine optimization, going to your website, looking at houses on your website. When they get to about 3 or 4, you hit them up for an email address and a name, and then you follow up.
Yeah, and we're going to double down on what works. Our Sphere, past clients, investors, and the little small builders, those are our top 4 or 5 sources of business. So, we're going to, instead of doing a big client appreciation party once or twice a year, we're going to do events monthly. And just, you've probably heard it 1,000 times, but my aha moment was looking at our sources of business and saying, for a fraction of the budget or just allocating the same budget, we can do a lot better and touch the people that are providing us with the most business anyways.
And better leads too, right? More quality. They don't talk to as many agents, right? They trust you. So you take all this money off of Zillow, Realtor.com, all this wasted money, right? That you found, and you're putting it back into your sphere of influence. And what was the name you called it?
As far as
the program? Yeah. Sphere of influence, something.
Oh, so we use a program. We just designed a little spreadsheet that is like a sphere stimulator. So
stimulator, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When we and that's our free gift to you guys this time too. So when we have a new agent that joins our team, we have them sit down and open up their Facebook, open up their Snapchat, open up their Instagram and their cell phone contacts and say, start calling instead of calling FSBOs and expireds and all, and that has merit too. I'm not saying it doesn't, but start with the people that know, like, and trust you. And if you're calling family, that hopefully they love you and they'll take your call.
Yeah, absolutely. So sphere stimulation, it's all about sphere stimulation in 2019. Let's get some specifics on sphere stimulation. So what exactly are you going to do to stimulate your sphere and with this extra money that you're saving from all this other miscellaneous stuff that wasn't getting you good returns?
So we're going to invite them to client appreciation events, and our client appreciation events aren't just for clients; they're also for prospective clients. So if you're talking to people, you're dripping on people. If they're an A prospect, bring them to the baseball game. We rent a suite out for the spring training down here at the Phillies do spring training in Clearwater. So we'll invite them to that, and then we use the sheet to sort of stimulate ideas for who you'd call. So past clients, even if you're in a different industry. So if you're a new real estate agent on our team and you used to sell copiers, I don't know, that sounds very, I'm dating myself, I guess, but, or whatever, you used to sell peanuts, I don't know, whatever you used to do. That was one of the ahas I had when I came over, because I owned a small little IT company for many years and sold that before I got into real estate. Well, I started calling all my past clients and saying, guess what I'm doing now? And have, got tons of business over the last 5 years just by calling people that know, like, and trust me. Why not start there?
What's up, brokers, team leaders, office managers, and rainmakers of teams? I got a question for you today. What are the 2 most frustrating things about running a real estate team? The 2 things that cause you more headaches than anything else. Think about it. The brokers I've talked to have all given me the same answer: recruiting and retention. If you're in the same boat, if nothing you've tried seems to work, I've got some good news. Your problem finding, recruiting, and retaining high-quality agents are about to be over. I'm launching my new Retoot course, a course that provides an in-depth, first-ever look at the recruiting and retention secrets of the industry's top recruiters. To kick off Retoot's launch, I'm offering the course along with 2 other high-value items at a super low price to podcast listeners. Since I'm throwing in 2 free items with my Retoot Secrets course, I'm going to simply call it my 123 discount package. Okay, so let me talk to you about the 123 discount package. In addition to Retoot, you're going to get a subscription for each of your teammates or anybody in your office to my Big Profit weekly jackpot emails, which are basically agents from around the world giving advice on how to increase your profit on a daily basis in this business. If your agents put these effective, easy to implement tips to use, their sales and most importantly, their profits will improve. Plus, I'll provide you with a year's worth of monthly sales meetings, content to have at your sales meeting so you don't have to struggle figuring out what to say to your agents or your team. I'm calling it my Lunch and Learn sales training series. That's an entire year's worth of sales meetings that you won't have to plan and that your agents are guaranteed to get massive value from. So to recap, purchasing the 123 discount package gets you 1, my brand new Retoot course, 2, my Big Profit Agents weekly jackpot emails for everybody in your office, and 3, a year's worth of Lunch and Learn training sessions. If you want this limited time package, act fast and go to hibandigital.com/123. Real easy, hibandigital.com/123. And then you just give them this spear stimulator and you're like, go down here and
Yep.
Start hitting it. And then what are they saying?
So it's a simple script. We talk about just being yourself and having conversations instead of sounding like a robot, but the script is pretty simple. Hey, Pat, I really want to catch up with you, but today's call is about business. I'm now working as a real estate agent if they're new, and I rely heavily on referrals from my sphere of influence to be successful. So just wanted to reach out today. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? That's it. It's real simple. You've heard of it.
Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And then you just shut up, bite your tongue, and let them answer.
Yep. And the other thing, the twist that we put on it recently was oftentimes the people, you call your mom and she says, I don't know, honey, I wish I could help you. The twist we put on it lately was we said, well, go 3 deep on every person you call. So if they answer you with, I don't know, I don't have anybody, sorry, can't help you, say, great, give me 3 names and numbers of people that if I say your name, hey, Pat told me to call you, those are still pretty lukewarm calls because I just broke the door down because they know Pat Hyben. Well, hey, Pat Hyben asked me to give you a call. Well, you just disarm them, right?
Right. Yeah. Fascinating. Good stuff.
And then we just give them categories: networking groups, social media, next door neighbors, friends, family, businesses that you use, your pest control company, whoever, houses of worship, people you go to church with, synagogue with, whatever the case might be. Again, these are people that know, like, and trust you. The only caveat I tell our agents is, it should be somebody that knows you by first name. So if you call and say, hey, it's Pat, they're going to know. You're probably in their phone, in fact. Somebody that's going to be, that it will take your call and is familiar enough with you. So that's your sphere, not somebody. So it's not a cold call, right?
Yeah, not just some random Instagram friend, right? That you sort of have seen their pictures, but you've never met them, shook their hands. They don't know you by first name. That's a good way to do it. Okay, so let's talk about teams here, because you've also made a revelation on teams. You mentioned people that, and there's been plenty on this show that have massive amounts of agents adding constantly. And then we've had plenty of people on the show that have had small contrite teams. Talk to me about your opinion on teams and what you seem to think is working currently for you.
So for us, and it's probably a little cliche, we actually hire people. We hired a couple of young guys right out of college. One guy that was in college and quit college to come work for us. And, so they're certainly in that millennial, time frame, real good work ethics, people like that. But the other thing that we focus on now is doing a lot more with less. So we feel like, we'll do 150 units with 3.5 agents. And I say half because, we had a fourth agent for maybe half the year. And we just, we want to pour into, we'd like to be at eight agents. For us, that feels like the right number. And I want them, taking good care of the clients. Of course, that's a given, but I want them to make an amazing living. I mean, this is as we know, this is an industry that you can do very well if you work hard. And I would like every agent on our team to be making 100 plus, some 200, whatever the case is. So some people think recruit, bring on a whole bunch, and there's strength in numbers. I take a different approach. Nicole and I would prefer that we had, 6 to 8 agents all making 100 to 200,000 or more a piece, and that's the approach that we're taking. And maybe right or wrong, I don't know, but that seems to work way better for us. Plus, it's easier to manage, and it creates a stickiness factor. If you're making 200 grand on a team, you're like a lot less likely to leave. Right,
absolutely. And so, give me some specifics on I guess first, how are you choosing? Because obviously there's a ton of real estate licenses out there, right? And there's a ton of people that are raising their hand that says, I'm going to be, a millionaire doing this. Mm-hmm. So how are you deciding who to hire?
So we have a pretty rigid process we put them through. We do a group interview at the very end, and it's all impromptu. They don't know any of this is coming. So we'll have the team literally jump in. Every person on the team will jump in and interview. And we like to kind of pay attention and see how they react to that. My wife was recently interviewing somebody, and she didn't like the standard, where do you see yourself in 5 years question. So she said, what's your favorite song? And the kid was like, I don't know, Toby Keith. And she's like, great, sing it. Just got him out of his comfort zone. And sure enough, he started singing it. And it turns out he's a great fit for the team.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. So he was just hitting you with like cliches for answers. And she didn't like that he wasn't on his feet thinking.
Right. Yeah. And she wanted to throw him a curveball because you're certainly going to get that from sellers, right? Sellers and buyers and investors.
All the time. Yeah. Yep. Right.
Yep. So I thought that was great. She hit him with that. And now we joke with him during team meetings to sing his favorite song. But it's, culture, you hear it, it's overused, it's cliche, but, culture is important. And if you're small and tight knit and we also do team building events. So we did an escape room with the team. Just stuff like that. And it exceeded all my expectations. It was an hour of time, but it was really fun, and it brought us closer together. So we're pouring into a handful of agents, and we do an audition period, Pat, which is a little different. So we have set standards. They have to do at least 2 units a month, and we want them to do at least 750,000 in volume over the course of 90 days. We measure that over 90 days. If they don't do it, they go on probation. If they don't get 2 in contract 30 days after that, they're gone, period.
So slow that down again. Say it again. So you measure them over 90 days.
Yeah, we measure it over 90 days. Our team standard is 2 a month.
2 a month. Got to sell 2 a month.
2 units or 750,000 over the course of 90 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so if you don't do that in 90 days, you're asked to leave.
Well, then we put you on a 30-day probation. If you don't get 2 in contract during that 30-day probation, yeah, you're invited off the team.
Yeah. So I mean, that's tough, right? But that pressure is probably going to benefit them in that, they probably wouldn't have done so well if they weren't behind the gun so much.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and it allows you to do, like I said at the beginning, do more with less. So if you have 4 to 6 to 8 agents, and they're all doing 2, they're doing the standard. Now that we also remind them that's the standard, meaning the minimum. Do you want to be average or do you want to be above average? So we have sub agents that consistently close 4+ units a month.
Yeah. And so what do you think of teams that say have 40 agents? and 40 times the amount of leads or more coming in, and their processes versus yours? Because I know you've tried it both ways.
Yeah, I would ask them what their true profit margin is, because they're probably spending $100,000 a month on internet leads.
Yeah,
right?
sure, more. Yeah, I mean,
Or more.
there's people now spending a couple of hundred to Realtor.com, and Realtor.com's flying them out to make them feel good and putting them on their different committees and things like that. So
Absolutely,
there's
yeah.
some people spending big bucks.
Yeah, I'm not interested in ego. I don't need to be fluffed. I'd rather let my bank account be the measuring stick. So for me, that makes the most sense. If we're providing great service to our customers, we'll be paid for it. And but as far as that sounds horrible to me. Plus, I see some of these. I see in this climate, I see some of these big teams, doubling down on office space and hiring more agents. And we moved recently, and we're getting a co-work space.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox, and it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Hey, real estate agents and rock stars. If you're getting value out of the content in this episode, make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the little bell icon to be notified about upcoming episodes. And I would also love it if you left a comment and shared the most impactful tips and tactics you've learned from the knowledge shared in this episode, or even maybe make a suggestion requesting a topic of what you'd like to learn in future episodes. I welcome any feedback below. Now, back to the episode. Okay, so tell me about this. So you were at a Keller Williams office, right? And how many square feet did you have at the KW office?
I think probably about 1,500 all in.
So you had a team space of 1,500 square feet. Okay. And gosh, you almost had did you have a floor to yourself, or you just had a bunch of offices connected?
Yeah, just connected offices.
Okay. And then you said, hey, we're going out on our own. We're going to, start with 100% and, open a teamerage. And instead of going out and signing a 10-year lease or a 5-year lease on another 1,500, or most people would probably do 2,500 because they're thinking about expanding and that sort of thing, you just took a different route. Tell me about the shared office space. What's it cost? What it includes, blah, blah, blah.
Well, first of all, it's month to month, which is great. And it allows you to have multiple locations, right? So you could say, hey, I've got an office in Clearwater. I've got an office in St. Pete, which probably doesn't mean anything to you. But I mean, as the crow flies, it's only 15 miles. But, with traffic, it could be an hour. And clients like to know that you have multiple locations to service them better. So for us, month to month makes a lot of sense. Really, when we analyzed it and we talked to the agents, we got their buy-in on it. We talked to our admin staff. We have 2 admins and a full-time or a part-time VA. That's it. And we said, how often are the agents in the office? And it ended up being 4 to 6 hours per week. In there for the team meeting, and they come in to to drop files, pick up things, whatever. Rarely is the answer. So really, it was my wife and I, and we're in and out, and the 2 admins. So how much office space do you really need? so it didn't
Not
make sense
much.
to me. Yeah. And in a shifting
What'd you
market.
figure out? Two offices, one for you and Nicole, and one for the
Yeah.
admin, or
Yeah. It looks like it's going to, and we're nailing it down now, but it looks like it's going to be between $600 and $800 a month, and on a month to month without with the tenant option to extend, which is great. So the option's on us, and, it just makes us a lot more nimble. Now we can add that second office for 300, 400 down in St. Pete. That's another co-work location. Just makes a lot of sense, which is up, by the way, month to month. So we don't need the big office space. We don't need the 5-year lease. We don't need I heard your story about the huge copier lease. We don't need all that garbage.
right?
So
Because how's that work? So they got copiers and fax machines and coffee and everything, right? How's that work? Tell me about that.
yeah, co-work is pretty great. You can float in or float out, kind of like a Starbucks, which doesn't work for us. And in Florida, at least, you have to have some brick and mortar to have a brokerage license hung there with signage, of course. So there's some requirements like that, but we can get 4 walls for month to month for per office, 3 to 4 to 500. We'll probably be all in for about 6 to 8, like I mentioned, for the space that we need.
And then do you have to pay per scanner, or per fax, or per, is there a lot of pers?
Yeah. If you use their stuff, we still have some leftover stuff, but the days of big office, for us at least, the days for big office space and big copier leases are over. And technology the way it is, we don't really use a lot of paper anymore.
Yeah, that's true, right? I mean, right. You don't need, there's not a lot of pers because you don't have those big, you don't have the equipment anymore. The equipment's on your phone.
Yep. We use dot loop for
last
everything.
10 scans I did were on my phone.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So that, it just makes a lot more sense to us. We can be a lot more nimble. It allows us to be, and by the way, we expect our profit margin to go way up next year. We'll see. But I mean, our office expense will be going down, while our footprint in terms of locations will be expanding. It just makes a lot more sense to us.
And it's easier too for the consumer, I think, to, be okay with it. If you say, hey, you could stop by my office, and they're like, is this a shared workspace? And you're like, yeah. It's not like,
No.
before it was almost like an egotistical thing, like you needed to show
right.
you were here for good. And the way that you showed stability that you're here for good is that you rented a big space or you bought a building.
Right. Yeah. It gave you some credibility. Right. But meanwhile, your butt's on the line with either a personal guarantee or something otherwise on a 5-year lease, or you bought a building, and then, I think we're probably on the verge of a market shift, or at least a plateau if we aren't already. So it just doesn't make sense to be going into an expensive environment from a staffing standpoint or from a square footage standpoint. So for all of those reasons, it made sense to us. And like I said, it just gives us most flexibility. I like to be in as much control as possible. So, I mean, our biggest exposure right now is $100, cable internet contract that we might be in. So, and that's the way I like it.
That's awesome. So, we talked about ECI, ego commission income. We talked about net profit. And I think the most important number that so many real estate agents don't pay enough attention to is LTI, left to invest. Now, you've been incredibly brilliant with your investments and with managing your LTI, right? So, like, talk to me about what sort of investments you have and how you're able to create an LTI that, in your numbers.
Yeah, it's important. So we have a couple of other businesses, so that we have an investment practice that's completely separate from the brokerage. We have a small portfolio of duplex, single family, as well as some condo short-term rentals on the beach. We think it's important. I mean, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, if the real estate agent goes the way of the dodo bird, and we all hope it doesn't, to some extent, we can probably all agree that it's going to get compressed anyways, the services. I would rather be 100%er, meaning all of my life expenses are handled by my passive income. Not quite there yet, but that's certainly the goal. So it's really, really important. I see 60 and 70-year-old realtors that are still selling real estate and don't own a piece of rental property, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, well, quite frankly, that's how I got out. Right, was just the efficient use of LTI. So guys, if you're not following this, you take your profit margin. Let's say his is 260. Now, bear in mind that a lot of expenses when you own a real estate teamerage, you can roll through the team. What would you say your LTI is like? What do you spend on like your family and clothes and all that crap? And then what is your true LTI, which would be basically all he's doing is taking the 260, subtracting out his family expenses, and then what's left is left to invest.
Yeah, it's a little bit over 100,000 annually that we have left to invest just in the brokerage. Now, again, we have other companies, but because we do wholesales and flips, and done 40 flips in the last 3 years, so we have some LTI that's spun off primarily from those other companies. But to answer your question, our burn rate's about 140 a year. We have kids in private school, et cetera, et cetera. So we,
so 10 grand a month. You have an LTI of 10 grand a month, and trust me, Chris is investing in it, as you heard, right? And now you're building up. Tell me about this. What you call it that you're doing, the RV park? That was fascinating.
Yep. So we've done enough with some small builders. We've learned a lot along the way. We've been in alignment with several developers, so we decided to jump in and do it ourselves on a small project here on the waterfront. We were able to buy a piece of land, and there's some models around Florida and around the nation, for that matter, that are small little cottages with RV parking. A lot of these people like to come to Florida for extended periods of time, and they don't want to necessarily be in their RV the entire time. So we are building a community. It looks like it'll end up at about 72 units all in on about 7.5 acres on the water, on salt water. And it's an RV park it's not an RV park in the traditional sense, like a KOA or something like that. These are individually owned. They're fee simple. So if you could buy a cottage between 600 and 800 square feet, park your RV next to it, stay in either. Or, oftentimes families say to me, I want to drive my rig down there and park it. But, my mother, who's 75, she doesn't want to travel in the RV from Michigan. So we can fly her in and she can stay in the cottage. So it's a neat model. We did a lot of due diligence looking at other models like that. And so we're excited. We'll be breaking ground probably in January once we get through permitting.
Okay. All right, Chris. So let's talk technology, buddy. What's exciting on the technological front? What new apps, what new software are you using that other agents listening can use?
So our backbone is pretty much G Suite. So a lot of people are using that. Google. I'm not telling you anything new there. We use Boomtown for our day-to-day. And then one of the things that's really interesting is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but for the users of Commissions Inc. and Boomtown, there's a third party called Zapier, maybe, or Zapier.
Yep, Zapier, yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of neat integrations with that now. We haven't dove into it completely yet, but our VA is actually familiar with it, which makes it easy. And there's a lot of different things we can do.
So explain it like the best you can.
So Zapier is like a go-between. So if you have software A and software B, and they don't talk to each other, you can get data in and out of A and in and out of B by using Zapier. They have different integrations. We use them with our property management software, AppFolio. They connect with Infusionsoft. They connect with Boomtown. So just think automation, really. Anything that you've got a piece of data in one place and you want to get it to another place or send it somewhere or have it automatically text somebody. If you can dream it, Zapier can help you do it as long as the software that is integrated into it. And it's
allow
growing.
Softwares to talk. So none of this like in the old days, you wouldn't have to download something and you got to upload it or whatever. And here it would just zap right through.
Yep. And you can build automations. You can schedule stuff to happen at certain times daily. When we did it when people were delinquent on rent, when we were doing the property management thing, they would get a text, an automatic phone call from us going to their voicemail, just pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah. Beautiful. Good stuff. Yep. And I know we use that with Rebus University and Real Estate Rockstars. It works well. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about your free gift.
Yeah. So I put together this Sphere Stimulator that your listeners can download and distribute to their teams, or if they're individual agents, they can certainly use it too. It just kind of called it a simulator for that reason. It gives you a bunch of different categories that kind of get you thinking about building a list of people to call. So if you see houses of worship, you go, oh yeah, I go to church with Bobby and Sue and John, and write them down, and it kind of builds your target list of people you should be calling. And you don't want to just do it one time. I do it every time I bring a team member on. I do it with them from my own sphere, and it's always different. I always put different names on there. So it's something you should revisit quarterly at a minimum.
That's awesome. So guys, I'm going to put this on hybendigital.com/Chris Dufala, Dufala, hybendigital.com/Chris Dufala. I'm also going to put it in the Agent Success Toolbox, which you can go to hybendigital.com/toolbox, and you get that plus hundreds of other downloads that other people have left as they have come on the show. Or you can text the word toolbox to 444-999. Chris, has been a blast. Best of luck to you in the Tampa area. Best of luck to you with your new venture, Lock and Key Real Estate. Guys, if you have a referral for someone in Tampa, send it over to Lock and Key Real Estate. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day today.
Likewise. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Estate Rockstars. If this free content is giving you a ton of value, I want to ask a small favor in return. I need you to pull out your pointing finger and hit the subscribe button. Yes, hit subscribe, please. The more subscribers that we get on Real Estate Rockstars, the better guests are attracted to the shows. We'll get more guests from the top companies, from the top teams, and even more celebrity guests like Robert Kiyosaki and Barbara Corcoran. Also, if you're not a member of our free Facebook group, go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio right on Facebook and join the conversation. I'm on there myself on FaceTime Lives, and we have a lot of communications and questions about the show, and I'd love to see you there. And it's free. People ask me all the time, where am I on social media? I'm real easy to find. Just type in my name. My IG is I am Pat Hyben. It is blowing up on Instagram, adding tons of subscribers, and I'm on there probably twice a day. So definitely follow me on Instagram, as well as everywhere else. Thanks again for listening, and keep rocking.